The statewide race getting the least amount of attention this year, mainly because senior Senator Chuck Schumer continues to hold a job approval rating of 60%. And until now, no Republican has been willing to run against the popular Democrat. That will change on Saturday when Townsend launches his campaign to unseat the veteran senator. He joins us tonight from Middletown to tell us more about who he is and why he's running. Thanks for your time today, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It's my pleasure. So let's just start out by doing a brief synopsis of who you are. I know you because you've been a veteran consultant for GOP candidates for a number of years now. I have to confess I was surprised when I heard your name being bandied about. Most people who are consultants prefer to stay behind the scenes. So just give us a brief synopsis of who you are.
Well, I'm an immigrant to New York, and I moved here in the 20s, my 20s, from the state of Indiana. And I got to tell you, I first fell in love with New York when I was 17 years old. I won a statewide speech contest in Indiana, and the reward was a trip to New York City. And I got to tell you, the minute my feet hit the ground, I knew that someday New York would have to be my home, because when I saw it, I knew I didn't want to live anywhere else.
Indiana to New York is a pretty big jump. You started out in politics by working for Senator Birch Bayh, who was a Democrat.
I did.
And you were also a Democrat. You made the switch in the 80s as part of the so-called Reagan Revolution. What happened to your ideology that made you make that change?
Well, my father was a lifelong Democrat, raised in the Depression, and for reasons we all understand, felt that the Democrat Party better suited him than the other party. And I was raised that way. And something that often happens, Winston Churchill said it best, he who is under 30 and not a liberal has no heart. Anyone over 30 who's not a conservative has no head. I think I'm paraphrasing what Churchill said. And quite predictably, it happened to me. I had my heroes, and I still have some Democratic heroes. I worked for Daniel Patrick Moynihan during the early years of my career. There are a lot of things about him that I liked. My childhood hero was Robert Kennedy, a New York senator. But in the 1980s, I developed some new heroes in reading what they did and why they did it. Churchill, Thatcher, Reagan, even Senator Buckley. I began to admire what they did, and stalwart spirits all willing to sail against the prevailing winds at their time to stand for something that they thought was important.
But that's interesting that you bring all... I'm sorry, go ahead, just finish that.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just, you brought up all of these stalwarts and of the Republican and in Buckley's case, Conservative Party, but the party of those people is not the Republican Party of today. I'm curious how you feel about that.
And I would assert that the Democratic Party of my father and Harry Truman and Robert Kennedy and Daniel Patrick Moynihan is not the Democratic Party of Pelosi, Schumer, and Reid. That party of Pelosi, Schumer, and Reid left me. And when they left me, I left it.
But you feel aligned with the Republican Party of today? Do you consider yourself a moderate, for example?
I consider myself a conservative Republican, and that's the kind of campaign that I'm going to run. I feel very strongly about certain things that a New York senator should be fighting for, certain things that I see that I believe we're doing wrong in the nation. A course correction I think now is needed, both at the national and the state level, and I'm going to be talking about that during the course of the campaign.
So you brought up your target, that's Senator Schumer. As I mentioned at the top here of the intro, he's quite popular. His numbers took a bit of a dip, under 50 very briefly in one poll. He's back up now. The man has more than $19 million on hand. He is the third highest ranked person in the Senate. He has been in the Senate for a long time. He has been in politics in New York pretty much for his entire political career. Why challenge him? There's got to be someone else who might be easier to unseat.
And thank you for asking the question. This is not about what is easy and what is not. If I had wanted to run for public office at the age of 23, I'd have done that. I chose a different course. So you ask, why now and why him? There are two reasons. I don't believe our country is headed in the right direction, and I don't believe the solutions being pushed through this Congress by this administration is the right course for the United States of America. I don't think that the course of New York is the right course of New York. We're known as the Empire State. Unfortunately, right now, New York is on its knees and the laughingstock of the entire Northeast, an entirely dysfunctional government. That has everything to do with why I'm throwing my hat in the ring.
Well, but arguably, though,
Go ahead.
I mean, the most dysfunctional government in New York is at the state level, and you can say what you will about Senator Schumer, and I would like you to say a little bit more about what you think that you're at odds with him about, but why not run for state senate? Or why not run for statewide office at the governor's level, or even state comptroller or state attorney general, although I don't believe you're an attorney. But you know what I'm saying? If you really believe that Albany's the problem, why not try and fix Albany instead of going to Washington?
The reason I said that is this is Chuck Schumer's Democratic Party. And the solutions that Chuck Schumer is trying to impose on a country are the very same policies that now have New York on its knees. Now, if you want to, I'll go into this a little bit, and I would just say a couple of things here about the national leadership in the country now. I think they are bound and determined to Europeanize the United States. Now, I've been to Europe, I've seen Europe, and there's some very pretty places in Europe. But Europe is a place where they confiscate half the wages of people who earn them. It's a place where they tell young kids at an early age what universities they'll be allowed to attend. There's some countries there that tell people how many hours a week they're allowed to work. That's Europe, but it is not the United States. We've chartered a different course in this country that has led to more innovation, more miracle drugs, more medical devices, the finest healthcare system in the world, the greatest foundations the world has seen, the finest universities. We are able to do that and lift people out of poverty in this country in a way no other nation can, because we do not limit potential.
Okay.
We do not limit what people can achieve. We have a national government that is headed in the wrong direction. We are going to limit human potential if we're not careful.
Okay.
If I may continue, one other place here. There is another consequence of where we're headed at the national level. In the process of socializing their economies in Europe, they sent to the dustbin of history the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the French Empire, and the British Empire. They no longer have the mightiest armies the world has ever known. We're the only one left. If we try and Europeanize the United States of America, we'll end up on the dustbin of history just like them and cede our place at the head of democracy's
Okay,
table.
Jay. So
that is one of the reasons I'm running.
You've got a message.